3 every business day, we bring you unusual option activity. And we've got it in spades for you today. So let's get the party started, shall we? All right. It is the 4th of February, 2021. I am Jon Najarian. This is, as I've said, 3 at 3. So let me get rid of that for now. Bang. Our disclaimer is, as always, that this is for educational and informational purposes only, that all investments involve risk. So no matter how great some of these returns may look, remember, if you don't know how to take profits off the table, if you don't know how to cut your losses, you should probably just watch and not trade, because every investment, folks, does involve a degree of risk. I'd encourage you to read a disclosure document and or consult a financial professional. Intellectual property rights. Yes, we have registered marks, we have trademarks, we have patents, we have copyrights on almost everything you're about to see. So before you use it, willy-nilly, just ask us first. We'll probably grant you permission, and we'd ask that you cite Market Rebellion. All right, there's Janet Yellen, the mighty Janet Yellen, the final chapter, Battle for the Planet of the Apes. I just thought this was a very funny meme that I saw. In the incredible ape saga, the most suspenseful showdown ever filmed, as 2 civilizations battle for the right to inherit what's left of the earth. There you got Gabe. Gabe would be the guy at Melvin Capital. Then you've got Wall Street Bets. Then you've got Stevie Cohen, Reddit, Michael Burry, Wall Street Bets again, Musk. Anyway, I just thought that one was funny, folks. And I'm sure that if anybody was part of this on this 33% drop today, you didn't think it was so funny. That's why you need some risk parameters, folks. And I guess if you're just trying to squeeze people, that can work for a period of time. It worked for several weeks in this case. And then once they had the prey in sight, they knew where the weak hands were, as they thought, and they worked hard to exploit those weaknesses. That's what Wall Street is really good at. So anyway, with that said, let's take a look at some more pleasant pictures, like, well, Airbnb yesterday. Talked about Airbnb bullish call buying. Next week, that's the February 12th calls at the 200 strike. They were bought. Take a look at what Airbnb got to today, to $195. And as of just a little bit ago, 192.88, call it 193. A very nice day, especially if you had some of those calls, I'd say. Remember, though, getting into the trade's only the first half. You got to take your profits, especially when you have options that expire in a week. So one of the ways that I trade my stocks and options here is when the stock makes a big pop like this with a week to go, I either A, sell half of that trade, or B, sell an at-the-money call and collect that big, fat premium. So when this thing popped to 195, I was selling 195 calls. As I told you yesterday, even though they were buying the 200s, I was buying the 190s. So getting the opportunity to sell the 195 calls against this was a gift from the trading gods, and that's the way you have to look at it. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. You take those profits and move on. This is our YouTube channel, folks, and this is what I'm encouraging you to do. Subscribe. So over 11,000 of you did, bang, and took us through 11,000. We appreciate that. If you go to YouTube, and in the search bar, if you type Market Rebellion, you can just click on subscribe when you get there. And if you want, and you go to the upper right-hand corner and click on that little bell, it will let you know every time Pete's got a new The Take, which he does every day live at 10:30 Eastern Time. You get my workout videos, that 60-second video. You also get 3 at 3 and our podcasts. Speaking of which, I have a prop betting shop that I'm going to do an interview with later today for a podcast about the Super Bowl prop bets and what they've got. It's going to be wild. And that's one that I know you'll want to tune in for. So one of the ways to make sure you can do that, go to YouTube, subscribe to Market Rebellion, and click that little bell and maybe even a 5-star. How about that? All right, let's take a look at this, because this was a 5-star trade, my friends. Veru, that's Veru. This is another cancer treatment company. They are trying to find ways so that people can survive cancer rather than die of cancer, which is a good thing. And this one, we noticed some big upside call buying today. So I made it my final trade. In fact, there it was. With the stock at 1093, called 11 bucks. We saw bullish call buying. They were buying 8,200. That's 820,000 of the 1250 calls that expire in regular February. So that is 2 weeks from tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow, February 19th, these calls expire. They paid 75 cents. That's an out-of-the-money call, so I bought an at-the-money call. And then let's see what happened. That's what happened. Stock popped. As you see there, 1,300. That would coincide with 1 o'clock. And that's when, as a final trade, I cited this. And you see the run. At first, it ran to about 13, 1250, 13 area, which is still a pretty nice trade. And then, boom, 1380. Bang, bang, bang. My cousin Vinny, whose handle is at COUZIN_VINNY, said, Veru, thanks. And a shout out to Dr. J. Hit and run trade for us. Taking profits into strength. Beautiful run after your mention on that 1 p.m. pop. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you very much. It was a great pick by our team when we see that unusual option activity and we can line up on it and then boom, kick that one right through the uprights. Thank you, Vinny. I'm glad. It's always good company when Vinny's in on the same trade as us. And that was a very profitable trade today. Let's take a look at another, JetBlue. JBLU, we saw bullish call buying with stock at 1545. This was one of my unusual activities, which CNBC was nice enough to cite. 9,500 of the March 18s. You might recall, I didn't buy those March 18s. That's too far out of the money for me. I bought the March 15s and sold March 17s because that's how I trade. I like to move the odds into my favor. To make money on that $2 spread is much easier than having the stock make a moonshot. Yeah, Veru worked out like that, but not all trades do. That's why I do 1-to-1 bull call spreads frequently. There is me talking about it on the halftime report. There's Andrew's ship behind me and our ticker tape here. JetBlue had moved up from 1545 to 1586 at that time. And that's where it is now, $16.06. So bang, if you're somebody who joined us in there, it's already been $16.20. I think this one keeps going like that. So that's the way we trade. And you got to remember, even though these are March options, there's no shame in taking some profits off the table whenever it suits you. My rule is that when a stock pops by 100%, the options that is, when they move 100%, I take half off. So if in a spread, I pay 50 cents and it's moved to a buck, I take half off because I've made 100%. Then I let the rest run, snugging up a stop underneath as it's making that move higher so that hopefully I can milk even more out of the position. But if it turns and starts moving to the downside, then that stop will trigger and I will take off the remainder of the trade. Little risk management there. Let's talk about Agenus. Again, Agenus, much to say, this is one I don't think I've traded before, but nonetheless, we saw March 6 calls very actively traded. I bought those when the stock was right at $5. Rather, I should say I bought the 5s and sold the upside calls because I moved the odds into my favor that way. I didn't buy the 6 calls. There was what we saw earlier today when the stock was $4.90. Our subscribers got into it around that level. That's, by the way, marketrebellion.com/UOA is how you get that, marketrebellion.com/UOA. And you see they're buying these calls for 30 cents. I like, even though it's a cheap shot, I like buying the fives, selling the upside calls as a better way to play it, moving the odds into my favor. There's the stock moving to 536, which is already bang in the money on my 5 calls then. Stock's worth over $1 billion because of this 21% move, and the yellow arrow showing you where the stock was prior to my mention. And then, as you see, it popped all the way to $5.95, $5.95, a full dollar higher than when we first cited it. Bang. And that little gray arrow on the bottom of the screen there, that's kind of showing you the volume. That's those of you who watch us on CNBC jumping in there. And we appreciate all of that. That lifted the stock to where I was able to sell a higher strike call against what I've got. Bang. Again, that's how we move odds into our favor. Own an option, and if it works, sell a higher strike against it. If it doesn't, and it loses value, once it's lost half of its value, I exit. That's my risk control parameters. You have to decide what your risk control parameters should be. All right, questions. Andrew's been busy again. At Jon Najarian, that's JONNAJARIAN, for those listening on Sirius Satellite Radio. Also at 3, the word at, the number 3 again, underscore UOA for unusual option activity. Vertical. All right, let's see, Archetype Hunter. And that is, in fact, the handle, ARCHETYPE, Hunter, HUNTER, Archetype Hunter. What makes you decide to do a vertical call spread versus just buying a call? Odds of winning. That's why I do it. I want to move the odds into my favor. So when I buy a call and it starts to work, then I immediately look at, okay, what strike can I sell against this call? That's why I do it. I do them 1-to-1. I do not do ratio spreads. I've done them. I did them when I was a market maker, when I was trying to make money. Now I'm trying to manage money and make singles and doubles rather than swinging for the fences. So that's why I do that, Archetype Hunter. Tenured Trader, and that is indeed the handle, at TENUREDTRADER is the handle. Why is there such a huge disparity between physical silver and paper silver prices? Well, there's a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, you can trade physical, of course, and believe it or not, you got to keep those coins and or ingots in something protected so they don't get, basically so that they don't start losing some of the 100-ounce or the 1 kilogram or whatever size you're buying, some of that, they don't lose that. And not every numismatic store will give you that. Paper silver prices also, I'm going to assume you mean like the likes of the ETFs for silver. There's carrying costs, there's storage, there's all these other issues involved with an ETF. Now, on the other hand, if the ETF isn't just for physical, but if the ETF is for the stocks, that's a different story. And that should outperform in times of people jumping on the silver train like they were a couple days ago. Hopefully, many folks that did have that silver trade that my brother Pete talked about were able to sell at the money calls. That's what I did. Last Friday, when we cited silver again for the multiple time, and then the Reddit crowd started that squeeze, I was buying the at the money 25s. We went through 27. That's when you hit them with that at the money, the 26 and then the 27 calls as it rallies. That's not advice. That's just how I would trade that. Micron. All right, Stock Monkey. And the handle there is at Stock Monkey 9. Hi, John. Thanks for all you do. Do you see anything unusual with Micron? I do see volume again in Micron. We are trading that one aggressively. I'd encourage all of you to do the same. This one is moving nicely, and we certainly appreciate all of you that have supported us by also checking out the Micron trade. Ford. All right, let's see. trading warrants, and that is how his or her Twitter handle is as well, at trading, TRADING, warrants, WARRANTS. Are you still holding Feb, 12 and a half calls? As you know, today is forward earnings. Yes, I am. I am in the 11 calls, and I am short the 12 calls. Now, to many of you, I know that seems like, oh, you can only make $1. Yeah, but if you only paid 25 cents for it or 30 cents, whatever I paid for it, for that spread, you kind of get the idea that, yeah, if they have a good report here, which I certainly hope that they will, and we've had continued upside buying in here, then we'll be able to ring the register, and the 12 side goes into the money. They take my stock, or they take, I exercise my long 11s, and they take the stock from me at 12. Yeah, that's a good day. So thank you. If you'd like to learn more about Market Rebellion unusual option activity, go to marketrebellion.com/UOA. That is marketrebellion.com/UOA. You can learn all about multiple trades per day, one trade per day, one trade per week. You can see all the different offerings we've got for education as well, because we've got subscription revenue and subscription sites on there. We've got education that you can do distant learning, meaning that you can log in anytime you want and learn online. And we've got mentors and coaches. You decide what level is appropriate for you. We can help you get there to be a pro trader and to not just have your money vaporized by making some mistakes that you shouldn't make. We'll talk about that later. Thank you for joining me today, folks. I hope you had a great day. It's certainly been a great day over here. And I look forward to being back on air with you guys tomorrow and to interviewing the prop betting shop for my podcast in just a few moments. So thank you. Have a great day.